Language is what brings people together. You can't communicate, you can't do collaboration if you don't have language. Linguistics is the discipline in which we unpack and analyse how all that actually works. My name's John Mansfield. I'm a senior lecturer in linguistics and applied linguistics. I caught the language bug myself one day, and now they've given me a job where I teach other people how to catch that bug. The study of linguistics and applied linguistics is different from studying a particular language because instead you're actually studying all of human language. What do human languages across the globe have in common? What makes them different? Because this is not a thing we encounter normally in our everyday lives. We're mostly just using English, perhaps some other languages we use at home, other languages we hear around the city. But there are actually over 6,000 languages in the world, and the variety of ways that they're put together is just astonishing. So when students come into the classroom, I just love being able to open their minds to that incredible diversity of human language. Linguistics has various different levels. We can either study the meaning of words, or we can study the way that words are put together into sentences. There's also the study of how the sounds are actually made, how they come out of your mouth and throat, and how all these things differ across different languages. Because different languages involve completely different sounds and different combinations of sounds. And every language has its own different patterns of how you put words together into a sentence. And beside that, you've then got all the levels of how language is involved in actual social interaction. How does language shape our society? How does language shape our politics? Linguistics is really attractive to students who love puzzles, students who love analysis and finding the patterns in things. But even better, it's good for students who love a puzzle which actually relates to human life. Not just a made-up Sudoku style puzzle, I'm talking about patterns that are really part of how we live. So there are some fascinating examples right here in Australia. Australia has an enormous number of indigenous languages that were here long before the invaders came. And actually how those languages work is incredibly different from English or from any European language. One really interesting thing is the way many Australian languages have very long words where you can put together what would be a whole sentence into a single word in many indigenous languages. Because linguistics is essentially the study of human communication, that gives you a fantastic basis for any kind of field where you're going to be working on policy, public service, multiculturalism, all these forms of glue that we need to put people together in our society. There's then a whole other dimension, which is the booming industry in language technology. And this basically brings together linguists who understand the language part and computer scientists who understand the ones and the zeros in the background code. Language always has more to it than meets the eye. We all use language every day and we think we know how it works. In fact, we just use it unconsciously. But once you get into it and start analysing the patterns, you'll find it's just amazing, the depths, the levels and levels that are going on there. I love teaching linguistics because the students really respond to it. You see their eyes light up. You see people getting excited and sharing that fascination that you've had yourself as they discover what's really going on in the language that they've been using every day.